This happened more than 10 years ago now. Back then, I worked as a journalist covering crime and the supernatural. And I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that I didn't believe in demons or possession until the night Regan's world turned upside down. They say some evils you don't believe in until you face them. I was like most people, skeptical. I didn't believe in demons or possession until the night Regan's world turned upside down. Her mother, Chris, was a well-known actress who worked hard to raise her alone. From the outside, they looked like any happy family. But behind their door, something was waiting, something dark. It started with nightmares. Regan would wake up screaming, tears streaming down her face. At first, Chris thought it was normal childhood fears. But soon, strange things began happening. Cold spots in the house, doors creaking open by themselves, whispered voices in empty rooms. Regan started talking in languages no one recognized, ancient tongues full of anger and hatred. Her eyes changed sometimes, flashing a cold, unnatural light. She would swear at her mother with words no child should know. Doctors were baffled. They ran every test imaginable, but nothing explained Regan's violent outbursts or sudden mood swings. Psychiatric experts suggested schizophrenia or severe trauma, but none of the medicine worked. The more they tried, the worse Regan became. Chris was desperate. I was drawn into their world, hoping to help. But with every passing day, the house seemed to grow heavier, as if something unseen was sinking deeper into their lives. Then came the night everything changed. It was late at night when Chris called me. Her voice was trembling, breathless. "You have to come, it's Regan. She's not herself." I didn't understand how bad it could be until I arrived. Regan was on the floor, her small body convulsing violently. She screamed words dripping with rage and hatred, words I can't repeat. Her head whipped back and forth like something inside was fighting to break free. Then I saw it. She lifted off the ground, hovering inches above the floor. The air in the room turned icy cold, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and never leaves. The lights flickered. Shadows stretched and twisted, dancing across the walls. It was as if the darkness itself had come alive. Chris was sobbing, begging whatever was inside Regan to let her go. But the voice that answered was not her daughter's. It was something ancient and cruel. "You mortals are so weak," it hissed, its voice like nails scraping down a chalkboard. "Your pathetic prayers mean nothing. This body is mine now, and I will use it to do my bidding." I wanted to help, to shield Chris from this horror, but I was frozen, trapped in the grip of primal fear. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. All I could do was watch in horror as the entity that had possessed Regan taunted us, reveling in its power. The police, the doctors, even mental health experts were powerless. Regan's condition worsened by the hour. She screamed in voices not her own. She showed impossible strength, throwing furniture, breaking bones. Her eyes turned black in the darkness, and sometimes they glowed. We needed help that went beyond science. After talking with Chris, I reached out to Father Damien Carras, a priest and psychologist who was known for helping people with their inner demons. He arrived soon, looking calm, carrying a Bible under his arm. But the moment he laid eyes on Regan, his composure vanished. He fell to his knees, whispering urgently into the phone, "I need backup. This is serious." Before I knew it, we were gathered once more in Regan's room, and this time another priest joined Father Carras. His name was Father Langster Marin. He was older, bearing the weight of countless battles against darkness. With Father Marin's arrival, a new resolve settled over the room. These men of God, these warriors of the light, they were ready to stand against the shadows. Father Marin wasted no time. He moved with purpose, directing me to find holy water and crucifixes. Every second counted. As I rushed to gather these sacred tools of the trade, I saw Chris kneeling beside Reagan's bed, her face etched with worry. "Please," she whispered, her voice hoarse with fear. "Help her." In that moment I knew I wasn't just fetching items. I was gathering weapons. Weapons against an enemy we couldn't see, but whose presence was a suffocating weight in the room. We had no choice but to call Father Damien Carras. He was a priest and a psychologist, a man known for his intellect, but also his doubts. He had been wrestling with his faith ever since his mother died. Grief and guilt weighed on him like a heavy chain. When Father Carras arrived, he was skeptical. He wanted to believe in science, in reason. But when he saw Reagan, something inside him shifted. The girl's eyes, those unnatural, cold eyes, haunted him. The voices that spewed from her mouth were full of hatred and knowledge far beyond a child's. He stayed for hours, observing, praying, trying to reach the real Reagan buried beneath the darkness. But soon even he admitted it. This was no ordinary possession. This was evil, ancient and relentless. He called for Father Langster Marin, an older priest known for his experience with exorcisms. Marin had fought demons before, or so the stories said. He came with a calmness that seemed to carry the weight of many battles fought. Together, the two priests prepared for what would become a war of souls, a fight that would test their faith, their strength, and their very existence. The exorcism began in a small, dimly lit room where Reagan was confined. Candles flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced on peeling wallpaper. The air felt thick, heavy with tension, and something else, something unholy. From the moment Father Marin began the ritual, the demon inside Reagan fought back with everything it had. Her voice twisted from a frightened child's cry to a deep, guttural growl that chilled everyone to the bone. She cursed at the priests in languages no one understood. She spat vile insults and threatened to drag their souls to hell. Her body contorted in impossible ways, breaking the limits of human anatomy. At one point, Reagan's head spun completely around, and she screamed with a voice that was not hers, a voice full of hatred, pain, and centuries of darkness. "You cannot defeat me," it roared. "This child is mine, and I shall rule through her." Father Marin's face was pale, but determined. Father Carras stood beside him, clutching his crucifix, praying for strength. The demon inside Reagan was powerful, vicious, and relentless. Its strength was unnatural, its hate palpable, its cunning terrifying. The battle was not just physical, it was spiritual and mental. The demon sought to break them, to crush their hope and faith. It whispered doubts into Father Carras's ear, bringing back memories of his mother's accident and his own failures, twisting them into accusations. "You failed your mother," it hissed. "You are a failure. You will fail again." Hours passed like days. The priests prayed, commanded, and battled the entity within Reagan. The demon mocked them, whispered lies, and attacked their deepest fears. Father Marin, though old and frail, stood firm. Father Carras struggled, wrestling with his own doubts and guilt. Memories of his mother's death and his wavering faith surfaced, threatening to break his spirit. But they held on, knowing that giving up meant losing Reagan forever. The demon lashed out physically too, throwing Reagan's body violently against the walls. Blood stained the floor. Furniture shattered. The room became a battleground. But amidst the chaos, there were glimpses of Reagan's spirit trying to break through, and that gave the priests hope, a reason to keep fighting. As exhaustion overtook them, Father Merrin collapsed. Father Karras took over, stepping into the heart of darkness. The demon screamed, furious that its hold was slipping. It tried to manipulate Father Karras with visions of guilt and despair, but something inside him, a spark of faith, kept him anchored. Suddenly, Reagan's eyes flashed. She arched her back and let out a blood-curdling scream, but this time it was different. There was a hint of panic in her voice, a crack in the demon's confidence. And then, slowly, ever so slowly, Reagan began to speak, her own voice tiny, shaky, but undeniably hers. "Mommy," she whispered, and then, "Father?" The room seemed to brighten, the oppressive darkness lifting ever so slightly. The final battle was intense. The priests pushed forward, their voices strong and unwavering, commanding the demon to leave, to flee, to give up its hold. Then, as if in slow motion, Reagan's body jerked violently. She convulsed, her entire body shaking with unimaginable force. And then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Silence descended on the room, heavy and profound. The candle flames flickered, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch and distort in the sudden quiet. Father Karras slowly lowered his arms, his face drained but resolute. He turned to Chris, who was kneeling beside Reagan, her face ashen but hopeful. "She's gone," he whispered, his voice hoarse with fatigue and a hint of triumph. As the first rays of sunlight touched the room, we watched as Reagan stirred. She opened her eyes, dazed but clear. She looked around, confused, and then she saw her mother. A sob escaped Chris's lips as she cradled Reagan, whispering words of comfort and love. In that moment I knew the battle had been won, but the scars of that night would remain, etched not just in the walls of that house, but in our souls. When it was finally over, Reagan was herself again, a frightened, fragile little girl, but free. Father Merrin had given everything. Father Karras was changed forever, marked by what he had faced. I left that house knowing that evil is real, but so is the power of faith, love, and courage. Some battles leave scars, but they also remind us that light can pierce the darkest shadows.